Okpe has always been the golden child of her parents. She's beautiful, hardworking, and always getting favors. I, on the other hand, was almost the opposite. That night, as I watched her laugh with her husband, Ayomide, I felt something deep within me. Ayomide was everything I'd ever wanted. Kind, intelligent, and with a smile that could light up the darkest room. I've always admired him from afar, but I never imagined I would find myself in a situation where I would have to choose between my sister and my own desires. As the weeks passed, I found myself increasingly drawn to Ayomide. He was very attractive and caring, and I began to notice the little things he did for me. How he remembered my favorite coffee order. How he would engage me in conversations when Okpe was busy. It was innocent at first, but the more time we spent together, the more I felt a connection that I couldn't ignore. One evening, Okpe had to work late, and Ayomide invited me over for dinner. I insisted, but later accepted. As we shared a bottle of wine, the atmosphere shifted. We talked about our dreams, our fears, and the weight of expectations. I could feel the tension building between us, and when our eyes locked, I knew we were crossing a line. That night, as I left his apartment, I felt terrified. I had never intended to betray my sister, but the chemistry between Ayomide and I was undeniable. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of stolen glances and lingering touches. I was caught in a web of desire, and I knew I was playing with fire. One fateful night, Okpe was out of town for a work conference. Ayomide texted me asking if I wanted to come over. My heart raced as I typed my response. When I arrived, the air was thick with anticipation. We talked for hours, and as the clock struck midnight, he leaned in and kissed me. It was electric, and in that moment, I felt alive. But with every action comes with a consequence. I knew I was betraying my sister, but the thrill of our secret affair consumed me. We met in secret, sharing stolen moments that felt both right and wrong. I convinced myself that Okpe would never find out, but deep down, I knew the truth would eventually surface. So one evening, Ayomide and I had just met. As I was leaving their apartment, I ran into Okpe. She was standing in the hallway, her eyes wide with shock. "What are you doing here?" she asked, her voice trembling. I froze, panic coursing through me. I stammered and excused myself, but I could see the hurt in her eyes. The days that followed were filled with tension. Okpe confronted me, demanding to know the truth. I could see the betrayal all over her face, and guilt washed over me. I tried to deny it, but the weight of my lies was suffocating. Ayomide too was torn. He loved Okpe, but was drawn to me in a way he never explained. The more I pushed him to choose, the more he insisted. I felt like a puppet master, pulling the strings of their lives, but I was losing control at the same time. The climax came on a stormy night. Okpe had desperately needed answers, and I knew I had to confront him. As the thunder rumbled outside, I revealed everything to Okpe. The look of devastation on her face was unbearable. She turned to Ayomide, her eyes pleading for answers. In that moment, Ayomide chose me. The betrayal cut deep, and Okpe's heart shattered. She left the apartment in tears, and I felt a mix of triumph and horror. I had won, but at what cost? In the weeks that followed, I tried to build a life with Ayomide, but the guilt consumed me. Okpe cut off all contact with me, and I was haunted by the memories of our sisterly bond. I had stolen her husband, but I had also stolen a part of myself. As I lay in bed one night, I received a text from Okpe. "I hope you are happy," it read. The words hit me deep, and I realized that I had lost more than just a sister. I had lost my own sense of self. Our mother was devastated by the rift between us. She tried to intervene. She pleaded with me to leave Ayomide, to make amends with Okpe. "What you're doing isn't right," she said, her voice trembling with emotion. But I ignored her, too wrapped up in my own desires to see the damage I had caused. 9 months later, I discovered that Okpe had moved on. She was getting close to a new guy, someone who made her smile again. I felt a pang of jealousy, but also a flicker of hope. Maybe we could rebuild our relationship. But as I watched her from a distance, I knew that the damage was done, and I would forever be haunted by it. 2 years passed, and I watched as Okpe slowly rebuilt her life. She found love again, a kind man who treated her with respect and affection she deserved. Meanwhile, Ayomide and I drifted further apart. The chemistry started fading away, replaced by an uncomfortable tension. I could sense that he was hiding something, but I was too afraid to confront him. Then, one fateful evening, I discovered something shocking. I found a series of messages on Ayomide's phone from another woman. My heart sank as I read the words that shattered my world. He had been cheating on me, just as I had cheated on my sister. The irony was suffocating. I confronted him, and the truth spilled out like poison. He had been unfaithful for months, and the betrayal cut deeper than I could have imagined. Heartbroken and furious, I ended things with Ayomide. I felt a mix of anger and relief, but the guilt of my past actions weighed heavily on me. I had lost my sister, my relationship, and now I was left with nothing but the consequences of my choices. Desperate for redemption, I reached out to my sister Okpe. I sent her a heartfelt message, pouring out my regrets and asking for forgiveness. Days passed without any response from her, and just when I thought she would never respond, I received a reply. She said, "I'm still hot, but I'm willing to talk." My heart raced with hope, but I knew that rebuilding our relationship would be a long and painful journey. We met at a cafe, and as I sat across from her, I felt the weight of my actions pressing down on me. The conversation was filled with tears and apologies, but my sister Okpe made it clear that while she could forgive me, she would never want me close again. The love we once shared as sisters was destroyed, and I had to accept that I would live with the guilt for the rest of my life. As I walked away from that meeting, I felt a mix of relief and sadness. I had taken the first step towards redemption, but the road ahead was uncertain. I watched as Okpe moved on, finding happiness with someone who truly valued her. I was left to suffer the consequences of my decisions, haunted by the memories of what I had lost. In the years that followed, I tried to make amends in my own way. I volunteered at shelters, helped others in need, and sought to live a life that honored the bond I had broken. But no matter how much I tried to atone, the shadow of my betrayal loomed large. I often thought of my mother, who had tried to guide me back to the right path. I realized that her love had been a beacon of hope, and I had turned my back on it. I reached out to her, seeking forgiveness for my actions and the pain I had caused her. To my surprise, she welcomed me back with open arms, reminding me that love can endure even the deepest wounds. As I continued to navigate my life, I learned that living with the consequences of our decisions is a heavy burden. I had stolen my sister's husband, but in doing so, I had also stolen my own happiness. The lessons I learned were painful, but they shaped me into a better person. I understood that love is not just about passion, it's about loyalty, respect, and choices we make. In the end, I found comfort in the knowledge that while I could never undo the past, I could strive to be a better version of myself. I would carry the weight of my decisions with me, a constant reminder of the importance of integrity and the bonds we hold dear. The journey of redemption is long, filled with challenges, but it is a path worth taking for the sake of love and forgiveness. Now we have come to the end of another beautiful story. I hope you enjoy this. Thank you so much for watching. Please do not forget to subscribe to my channel. Bye.